Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about how you can tell how comfortable each camper is while they're on the challenge course and why that is important. It's important to know how comfortable each camper is on challenge course because you want to be able to push them and make sure that they're learning, but you also don't want to push them too far where they get frustrated or they're scared or anything like that. Being able to identify where each camper is at and then change the environment around them to keep them in this zone where that they're learning is a difficult skill to learn, but it's really, really important to learn because it can make the challenge course such a better experience for so many more campers. By keeping campers in the zone where they're learning, you'll be able to get campers to have fun, make sure that they're safe, and also allow for more personal growth. Depending on where this comfort zone is at, it will change depending if you're doing a low element or a high element, and it varies from camper to camper. For low elements, it might be more difficult to gauge where campers are at because it depends more on the group dynamics of the element that they are completing, but you're still able to do this, and this will give you a good idea of where each camper is at, how to push certain campers a little bit more, and how to get the group to come together a little bit better. For high elements, it's a little bit more straightforward because only one camper is on an element at a time, and it's pretty easy to gauge whether a camper is really scared or where they're at in their comfort zone. But I'll talk about this a little bit more later. For both high and low elements, as a facilitator, it's important to be able to gauge where campers are at so you can push them and kind of guide them through elements to make sure that they're really learning. One really easy way to gauge where campers are at on the challenge course is by teaching themselves where they're at, and then you can simply ask them, where are you at on this element and what is your comfort zone? At the camp that I worked at, we use this game called the comfort zone game that really teaches campers how to identify what comfort level that they're at while they're completing elements. I can go into a little bit more detail on this now. Basically, there's three different types of zones. There's the red zone, there's the yellow zone, and there's the green zone. The red zone is a zone that you never want to be in. This zone, you're scared, you don't know what's going on, the camper feels scared, and they're not enjoying themselves, they're not having a good time, and they don't want to be here, and they might feel scarred after leaving. This is not a place that you ever want a camper to be. The green zone is the complete opposite of that. This is you're completely fine, like you're just having fun, you're basically just playing games and you're just having fun out there, which is good. Like you want to be in your green zone for some times because it's important to have fun on the challenge course. The yellow zone is ideally where we want to keep campers a majority of the time. This is the zone where you get the most personal growth. It's where you are maybe sometimes a little bit frustrated or a little bit scared or things like that. But when you overcome that and you push past that, that's really where you get more personal growth out of the camper and out of groups and things like that. To teach campers about these three different zones, we play this little game, and I can show you how to set this up right here. To set up the game, you simply need two ropes, and you're gonna make one circle right here with one rope, and then you'll make a bigger circle out here. And then you have these three different zones. So we have zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. Zone 1 is the green zone. Zone 2 equals yellow zone, and zone 3 equals your red zone. And basically this is a direct representation of your emotional zones into an activity. And how this activity works is, as a facilitator, you'll say different things, and then the campers will have to pick where they feel about those things by going to the different zones. So you're actually doing it, and it's kind of a fun activity. For example, if I said something like, how comfortable are people with swimming with sharks? Majority of people would be out here in the red zone, because I don't know that many people that are very comfortable swimming with sharks. They're a scary thing, and most people should feel like that's in the red zone. If I said something like walking up the stairs, most people would stand here in their green zone, because that's something that we pretty much all do every single day, and that shouldn't be something that is out of anyone's comfort zone. Sometimes you'll get the kind of funny camper that's like, oh, like that's my red zone or something like that, but that's okay because it's an activity and it's supposed to be fun. And if you have campers like that, like let them have fun with it. It's okay to joke around and things like that and not take it completely serious. After you do examples that are kind of like this, that are a little bit more fun and just kind of out there and things like that, you can kind of get into a little bit more specific questions that are still fun, but you as a facilitator can gain a little bit more information about your campers. You can say something like going skydiving, and then some people will be like, that's my green zone, I'm not scared of heights or anything like that. Others will be, that's my yellow zone, and then you'll have some campers that are, that's my red zone, I would never do that ever in my life. And you as a facilitator can take a mental note of that and be like, oh, okay, these campers are most likely scared of heights. I have to be aware of that as we move to high elements. Another thing that I like to do as a facilitator leading this activity is I sometimes say something like making a new friend or talking to someone new. And then with this, Some people are in the yellow zone, some people are in your green zone, some people are in your red zone. While this doesn't directly apply to challenge course, it's also good to know for you as a counselor or facilitator where your campers are at and maybe who's like a little bit more shy, who's outgoing, and then you can see this as you do different elements on challenge course and see how people's personalities kind of formed around that and things like that, and it's good for you to be aware of too. Really, the purpose of this activity is to have fun and to teach campers about the different zones on challenge course. You really want campers to feel comfortable identifying their own comfort zones because that'll help you as a facilitator as you're leading elements. Okay, let's go back to talking about high and low elements again. On low elements, you're most likely not to deal with campers that are afraid of anything, but most likely campers that are getting frustrated. With this, it's a little bit more difficult to see this developing, so it's important to kind of be aware of it and be engaged with the element the entire time. As a facilitator, it's not simply about just setting up the element, it's about monitoring your group as the element progresses on the challenge course. If you feel like your group is getting really frustrated, as a facilitator, look to modify the element to make sure that your group can succeed on the element and they don't end up giving up or just getting frustrated, because that's a bad experience and that pushes towards the red zone of people are just frustrated and don't want to ever do challenge course again or that element ever again. You also don't want your group to just fly through elements or anything like that, because then it's not a challenge anymore. They're not learning different group dynamics. You really want the group to get slightly frustrated, but be able to overcome things. If a group is struggling, I sometimes put a checkpoint in for the element. If a group is doing too well, I sometimes take a checkpoint out if I did have a checkpoint, or make a slight variation that makes the element slightly harder. For high elements, it's even more important to monitor where each camper is at, because this is oftentimes where campers get scared, because generally most people have a slight fear of heights and this can sometimes push campers to the red zone. So it's really important to be engaged as a counselor or facilitator, really making sure that you know where each camper is at when they're about to do an element. What I like to do before a camper does a high element, as I'm clipping them in and tying them and making sure that they're safe, I ask them, what zone are you in? And they can give me an honest answer like, this is my green zone, like I fly through these all the time. Or they'll say something like, this is my yellow zone, and I think that's where a lot of people are, including me, when I do elements on a challenge course of, I'm slightly afraid, but I think I can do it. I also ask them what their goal is for this element. Some campers' goal is to simply climb the post or the ladder. Some campers' goal is to complete the entire element. Some campers' goal is to get halfway. It's really important to know what their goal is, because you don't want to push them too far. If they reach the goal, that's great. They're learning and they're progressing, and that's important. They don't have to finish every single element. When campers are doing high elements, you can normally tell when they are about to reach the red zone. Normally, if they're climbing the post or a ladder or something like that, they normally freeze and they don't move anymore or anything like that. When it gets really bad, they'll yell, I want to come down, like I don't want to do this anymore. You don't ever want your campers to reach the red zone when they're up on a high element, but you do want to push them to keep going. That's why it's really important to tell what their body language is. If you feel like you can push them a little bit, then great. Say like, okay, like I think you can climb up one more rung or something like that. And a lot of times it's helpful for your other campers to have them like, come on guys, let's cheer them on, let's get them to go higher and things like that. But if they're really freaking out, make sure you let them down, because you don't want to ruin their experience on the challenge course. And then when they come down, it's really important to praise them and say like, great job. Even if they didn't reach their goal, it's really good to say like, that was amazing that you tried or you did this and things like that, because it really helps boost their confidence and have them try harder things in the future and be willing to give it another try and not want to just give up next time or anything like that. Overall, it's really important to be able to gauge your campers' comforts while they're on the challenge course, because this allows them to allow for more personal growth and allows you to push them in a way where they're learning and they're trying, they're exceeding, and they're having fun and things like that. If you do these things, your campers will have a great time on challenge course, you'll have a great time on challenge course, and everyone will really grow, both you as a facilitator and your campers. Thanks for watching.